You're listening to the 10-Minute Bible Hour podcast. It's fast, fun, free, daily deep dive Bible, and right now we're working on the book of Nehemiah. If you're new, welcome. You can jump in right here, or you can always go back and start at the beginning of any season. The whole podcast is available in an easy-to-use format at thetmbh.com.
So I'm at my grandpa's house when I'm probably about 10 years old, and we're watching daytime game shows, like Press Your Luck or The Price is Right or something like that. And somebody wins a car. It's a car that would now be probably pretty stupid looking, but at the time, I thought it was the most amazing thing ever, like an Oldsmobile Beiruter or something like that. And I'm like, I wish I would win a car, Grandpa. And Grandpa apparently thought, well, here's a teachable moment to help my grandson understand how the world works and to teach him some important principles about taxation and the cost of ownership. So rather than being like, yeah, isn't that great? That guy won a car. Instead, Grandpa was like, well, did you know you have to pay taxes on a car when you win it? And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, you wouldn't want to win a car. You'd be in a real tough spot if you won a car right now. And he explained that that's viewed as income, and I would have to pay a very high percentage of the total value of that car to the government for having won that car. And I was like, but I don't have any money, so what, am I going to have to sell the car to pay for the taxes on the car? And he's like, yeah, that's exactly what people have to do when they win cars on game shows. They have to sell it to get the money to pay the taxes on the thing they got. And I was like, this is horrible. And this is a very formative conversation for me. Obviously, there's paraphrasing because it's a long time ago, but this was the gist. This is when I learned all this stuff. And then I'm like, okay, well, but then I would own the car. He's like, yeah, not really, though, because you got to pay taxes on it every year. What? You got to pay for your license plates. What? And you got to pay taxes on the gas you put in it. No. And you got to pay taxes every time you get it fixed or whatever. You do not. And you got to pay taxes when you sell it someday. And I just remember my eyes opening to how the world works and the illusion of ownership. And it was, like I said, very, very formative, but I appreciate him being honest with me and teaching me that getting something, acquiring it, buying it, fighting, scrapping for it, whatever, that's half the battle or maybe like a tenth of the battle. But the real battle of ownership is keeping something. There's a cost to ownership. With a car that gets taxed on every single thing that happens to it, the cost of ownership is pretty evident there. But even on the stuff that I own, the fact that it takes up space and that I theoretically have to defend it and maintain it, it all has a cost of ownership. Keeping something is pricey. It's demanding. It's difficult. Likewise, in the book of Nehemiah, we're discovering that keeping this hard-earned thing that the descendants of Abraham have earned during the era of the Achaemenid Persian kings is very difficult. It's very expensive. There's a cost to keeping this city that they just got done rebuilding. There's a cost to maintaining not just the building of the temple, but the life surrounding the temple. And in the last couple of chapters, we've seen, that is chapters 10 and 11, we've seen these descendants of Abraham in the 440s BC in Jerusalem coming to grips with this reality I came to grips with my grandpa when I was watching Press Your Luck when the guy won the Oldsmobile Beiruter, and they are having to come up with provisions for how they're going to make this work long term, how they're going to keep paying these bills, how they're going to have people in place who are trained and talented in the right ways to get it done. So the big problem we've been looking at most recently is how are you going to get people to live in Jerusalem? And we found that there are two solutions here. One, people volunteered. Two, people drew lots. Nehemiah 11:1. Now the leaders of the people settled in Jerusalem, and the rest of the people cast lots to bring 1 out of every 10 to live in Jerusalem, the holy city, while the remaining 9 were to stay in their own towns. The people commended all the men who volunteered to live in Jerusalem. So that was pretty cool. Volunteering got you more cred. And I think we're going to see that tone echoed throughout the rest of this account in Nehemiah 11, that the volunteers, they're the real heroes, the people to be esteemed here. These are the provincial leaders who settled in Jerusalem. Now, some Israelites, priests, Levites, temple servants, and descendants of Solomon's servants lived in the towns of Judah, each on his own property in the various towns, while other people from both Judah and Benjamin lived in Jerusalem. So who were these people who either by lot or by volunteer were going to pay the bills the cost of ownership to keep this city and this temple and all the things they'd worked so hard generationally to procure. Who's going to pay the bills on this? Well, here we go. From the descendants of Judah, Nehemiah 11:4. Athaiah, son of Uzziah, the son of Zechariah, the son of Amariah, the son of Shephatiah, the son of Mahalalel, a descendant of Perez, and Mahasiah, son of Baruch, the son of Kolhose, the son of Haziah, the son of Adiah, the son of Joiarib. We got like 3 lines left. The son of Zechariah, a descendant of Shelah, the descendants of Perez, who lived in Jerusalem, totaled about 468 able men. So these are the people whose ancestral homeland would be the area they are in. People from Judah, historically, lived right around Jerusalem. So this is very familiar to them. But also there's a brother tribe, Benjamin, who historically lived in the southern kingdom geographical area of Judah, and they're on the list too. Nehemiah 11:7, from the descendants of Benjamin. Salu, son of Meshullam. That guy's name comes up all over the place. He's very prominent, apparently. The son of Joed, the son of Pedaiah, the son of Kolaiah, the son of Maaseiah, the son of Ithiel, the son of Jeshiah, and his followers, Gabai and Salai, 928 men. Joel, son of Zikri, was the chief officer, and Judah, son of Hasanua, was over the 2nd district of the city. Interesting. So we're up to roughly 1,400 men at this point. They're not counting women and children, and we can do the social apology for how things in less enlightened eras were done and how people counted. I don't know. Whatever. It's an ancient document. Make of it what you will. Those are the dudes. There are going to be women and children associated with that as well. They're acknowledged on page among those who were able to understand during the scenes earlier in Nehemiah in chapter 8 with the reading of the law and all of that. So we know they're there. We know these people have families. But we're up to 1,400-ish men. So, I don't know, maybe each of them has a bigger family at that point, maybe attach 4 more people. So maybe we're up to 5, 7, 8,000 to the size of Lander, Wyoming, my old stomping grounds. It's a nice mid-sized town, and we're only through the descendants of Judah and Benjamin. Okay, verse 10, from the priests. Now, these are people descended from sort of a bonus tribe, a tribe that was set aside not to be holders of land and builders of estates. These are people who are ethnically, familially dedicated to the life of the temple. From the priests, Jediah, the son of Joarib, Jachin, Sariah, the son of Hilkiah, the son of Meshullam, there he is again, the son of Zadok, the son of Marioth, the son of Ahitub, supervisor in the house of God, and their associates who carried on work for the temple, 822 men. Adiah, son of Jehoram, the son of Peliah, the son of Amzi, the son of Zechariah, the son of Pashur, the son of Malchijah, and his associates who were heads of families, 242 men. Very important detail there that backs up what we were saying earlier. These are heads of families. Even when we talk about the priests, don't picture, like a Catholic priest today who's supposed to do the celibacy thing. That wasn't how the priesthood worked until a ways into the first millennium. That became kind of a hardcore rule in the 800s or 900s AD. Before that, in most Judeo-Christian traditions, the priests would have married unless they took a very unique vow. So here, all of these priests had, the whole ratio of families behind them as well. So what are we up to now? That's about 1,000 more men that we accounted for in this stretch. So we're at about 2,450, 2,500 total. We keep going here in verse 13. Amashai, son of Azarel, the son of Azariah, the son of Mishelemoth, the son of Immer, and his associates who were able men, 128. Their chief officer was Zabdiel, son of Haggadolim. So that's pretty interesting. Did you catch the little hints in that section describing the priests? It sounds like they've got some pretty gritty responsibilities. They need to be able-bodied. These aren't just graybeards who wear long cloaks and skulk around and do nothing. They've got hard physical duties as well, I assume one of which would include still being on the defensive. Remember, there are walls up, but it's not like everybody just went away who wanted to defeat the descendants of Abraham at this point because they put walls up. The enemies are still at the gates. And so these people being able-bodied is of significant note. Next up, verse 15, from the Levites. These are the people who make all the temple stuff go outside of priestly duties. Shemaiah, the son of Hashub, the son of Azikam, the son of Hashabiah, the son of Bunai, Shebathiah, and Jozabad, 2 of the heads of the Levites who had charge of the outside work of the house of God. Mattaniah, the son of Micah, the son of Zabdi, the son of Asaph, the director who led in thanksgiving and prayer. That's either the same Asaph who is being credited with writing some of the Psalms, or, as we discussed in an earlier conversation, there's a whole family lineage of Asaphs, like Asaph Jr., Asaph III, or something like that. And so maybe this is the psalmist, maybe this is one of his descendants. So Asaph, the director who led in thanksgiving and prayer, Bakbukiah, second among his associates, and Abda, son of Shammua, the son of Galal, the son of Jeduthun, the Levites in the holy city totaled 284. Verse 19, the gatekeepers, Akub, Talman, and their associates who kept watch at the gates, 172 men. This is your immigration and customs types who make sure that people who should be in are in and the people who shouldn't, and that the gates open in the morning and close at night and watch for the enemies who would want to do them harm. Verse 20, the rest of the Israelites with the priests and Levites were all in the towns of Judah, each on his ancestral property. The temple servants lived on the hill of Ophel, and Ziha and Gishpa were in charge of them. The chief officers of the Levites in Jerusalem was Uzai, son of Bani, the son of Hashbiah, the son of Mattaniah, the son of Micah. Uzai was one of Asaph's descendants, who were the singers responsible for the service of the house of God. Well, I think I just answered my own question. I mean, right? Doesn't that sound like the Asaph we were talking about above then would also be one of the descendants? I mean, multiple generations could be alive at once, but I think we're talking about a whole family of Asaphs. So that's how I read it. I don't know. Make of it what you will. The singers were under the king's orders, which regulated their daily activity. Wild. So the king, this isn't total freedom here. It might feel like it as we read along, but apparently Artaxerxes is the guy who's ultimately in charge of all of the singers at the temple. Interesting that the king didn't want to take his hand off of the information, the propaganda, the art wing of his empire. You guys can have freedom to do this, but the king still wants to retain final authority, final approval and editorial authority over any words that are publicly proclaimed in a secular or religious sense in his empire. It seems like there's been such a soft touch that we forget that, but clearly it is the case because he's in charge of the people who make the art that affects the direction of society. Verse 24, Pethaniah, son of Meshezabel, one of the descendants of Zerah, son of Judah, was the king's agent in all affairs relating to the people. So there's the guy, it's a Jewish guy who is reporting back to the king. This isn't Nehemiah, the governor or temporary governor. This is a different dude. This is Pethaiah, he's the king's man, and he makes sure that the king's wishes are being honored. He's kind of like the compliance officer to make all of this go. Was this boring to you? I hope not. I think it was kind of interesting. I mean, there's a lot of names, but we're doing the entire Bible. We can't just skip over stuff, or then you don't have it in your hip pocket and you feel cheated, and we're not doing that. When you earn the Nehemiah sticker, you earned the Nehemiah sticker, and when you put that on your computer or water bottle or in your Bible, we can't have, like, every time you look at it, you can't be like, yeah, we took some shortcuts. No, we did not. You earned it. It's real. That sticker is something you put in the work to get. But now the question is, can you keep it? I don't know that actually worked. I'm not sure there's much of a cost to maintenance for a Nehemiah achievement sticker. The analogy might break down a little bit there at the end, but I think you get what I'm going for. There's a tiny bit of Nehemiah 11 left. We'll look at that little passage and break down a bit more carefully some of the details that we looked at here today. But the point is, man, there's a lot of cost and a lot of human activity and human movement and organization and institution that has to happen to keep what the previous generations worked so hard to earn here. All right, that's plenty. I'm Matt. This is the 10-Minute Bible Hour Podcast. Let's do this again soon.